Hi everyone, happy late Saturday. Um, we are going to be coloring out of Hello Country Fall. This is a book by Joshua Dunbar, and I find I am in a mood to, uh, when it comes to fall coloring, like I feel really drawn to Alexander Franzese and Joshua Dunbar's work, so highly recommend his books. He has a spring one, he has an 80s book, he has all kinds of really cool books. Um, and I definitely want to get more into them. And so we're going to just do marker. Well, I say just. For me, it's still extra. We're going to do marker with pencil shading over for this picture. This is not my first Cattober picture. I have those as part of my Halloween countdown, or mine and Chris's Halloween countdown, which I'll talk about in a second. But this is my first official, like, I guess, video for Cattober. The hashtag is in the description, Cattober Color for John 2024. If you missed my announcement supply haul video last weekend, I normally do Cattober every year, and I have people that co-host it with me on occasion. But this year, I wanted to do something special and do it and make it in honor of John, who was John's hubby hut, John's hobby hut here on YouTube. Used to be the bibliophile colorist, if you remember that. And a lot of you remember him because he's been on YouTube quite a number of years. I think he was on when I first started, and so for a couple of years we did Cattober. We co-hosted it. Actually, he did. I think he took Cattober. He started it. I co-hosted a couple years for him, and then he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So then I kind of took it on. So. But he passed away. I don't know the details. I had heard it from some other colorists, but I did check online for an obituary and did confirm it, and more than likely it's him. Um, I don't know any details, but he was pretty young. I think he was 32. So definitely sad news for the coloring community. Him and also Lisa Geis from Lisa's Coloring Corner. I thought I had mentioned both of them in a video in September, but I may not have, because it felt awkward to talk about it in a video. And Lisa, I think she had a YouTube channel, also when I first started out. She was a fellow colorist that I knew really well. We were frequently commenting on each other's videos. She loved her videos. She really loved gel pens and patterns, and she had cats, and she did love cats. And she passed away, unfortunately, due to cancer. I think the same week that John passed away, and so that's been tough. She had mentioned her cancer diagnosis on her channel, had taken a break from videos, just trying to get through it, and then found out through her daughter posting on Facebook. So two really big losses. And I do want to do something for Lisa as well, but I figured this month I would focus on John, kind of each give them their own coloring tag. And so just in case you missed that, just trying to keep everybody kind of up to what's going on. And yeah, so like I said, we're doing a layer with markers here. I'm using my Ohuhu 216 set. I don't think I got the full 320 set because I originally was like, well, I have some of the pastels, but the pastels I had were in the 216 set. I didn't research it thoroughly, so I probably should have just got the 320. But it's served me well, for I'm just now having like the orange I use on the pumpkin is just starting to dry out a little bit. It's been pretty good. I think I actually, no, I ordered them through Amazon. I thought I had ordered them through Ohuhu, but it was through Amazon because I had the link for it in my order history. But no, we have this handsome guy here who I'm calling him Pumpkin King. Um, because he is the center of attention on this picture, and as he should be, being a cat and all. And I struggle with like just plain black cats. I do them a lot, but when it comes to wanting to add shading over the top of them, a lot of times I want to go with a lighter color as a base. And so, but an entirely black cat can be a bit overwhelming. So I actually ended up uh, coloring him in a black and white pattern, very similar to my cat I had named Oreo, which kind of like Leroy too, because Leroy's a black and white pattern cat like that. But Oreo was not named by me, but very aptly named because he had a Oreo shaped black spot on his chest. And so I figured I would color this kitty uh, in the style of Oreo, so to speak, which Leroy's up here on the desk too, so I guess he wants to make it about him. But Oreo's a cat that I had gotten through my ex-husband, his grandparents. He had been an outdoor cat the first like 6, 7 years of his life. Um, he was spayed, thankfully. Spayed, neutered. Um, they brought him in one winter because it was really, really cold. And then they were just going to put him back outside again because his grandparents were elderly and they were worried about tripping and falling over him. And I couldn't bear the thought of him having to be put back outside after being inside for months. So we offered to take him. And it was a rough first couple of years he was here. It is very, if you have, ow! All right, Leroy, good gracious. If you have any experience with integrating cats in the households, one thing that you learn is that older cats are extremely harder to merge into a population than kittens, and even if they're neutered. And that was the case for Oreo. He had a rough first couple years. It wasn't fighting knockdown dragouts all the time. It's just it took them a long time to kind of work out their hierarchy. And I think it was just harder because he was older. But when I tell you what's really funny is when my ex-husband, when we went through our divorce, and he did what he did, and we went through our divorce, and it was so funny when him and my stepson moved out of the house. Oreo really came out of his shell, and he had stayed in the back part of the house for the most part for those roughly 2 years. And so then he started coming to the front of the house, getting up on the couch, laying on me. And so probably the last 5 years of his life, he lived like a king even in those 2 years that he was here, and still not being super social, but like he really embraced living the full indoor lifestyle with all the perks. And I think the hierarchy really relaxed with the cats after my ex left, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that. That my ex was pretty aggressive and had a tantrum and had tantrums, had a temper, had a tantrum. Tantrums are appropriate too. He had a bit of a temper, and there's a lot I could go into there, but we're not going to get too deep into that here. Let's save that for another night. But needless to say, I think a lot of tension in the house was carried, a lot because of him. And when he left, it was mentally relieving to me. It relaxed me physically and mentally, and I think it also helped a lot with some of the tension with the cats, because I ended up keeping them all, and so it made a huge difference. And he was a spoiled king. Um, I was so grateful he got to live. I wish I had had him when he was younger, but like I was so grateful that he got to live half his life here, you know, in the lap of luxury. Which, I mean, Max's grandparents took good care of him, but he was outdoors. He didn't get a lot of attention. He had to deal with weather and other cats, and honestly, I'm surprised he made it 7 years, because outdoor cats don't typically do well, particularly out in the country like he was. They don't lead super long lives, so um, I was so glad that he got to live half his life, being super spoiled and pampered. And unfortunately, he had developed. We were treating kidney disease. He was 14 or 15, and we'll never know for sure, but he developed neurological issues where he basically he wanted to drink water, but he just couldn't. And so our guess was, because he had been having focal seizures and some other stuff, our guess was he had, probably a brain tumor or some sort of cancer going on that slowly grew over a couple years and ultimately just got to the point where he wouldn't eat or drink, and he was obviously not feeling well. So I missed the little guy. He was one of the best things to come out of that marriage for sure. And if I had to list all the best things to come out of that marriage, they'd all be cats. So that's where the majority of my cats came from. Um, Either through family, his exes. Bagheera was also a rescue, under that umbrella. Oftentimes it was him going out and coming back in with a kitten that he found outside and being like, oh, what's one more? And, when when you're talking to somebody that is a pushover anyway and you come in with that kind of attitude, it doesn't take convincing. So, but anyway, like I said, I wanted to kind of honor Oreo. It's been a few years, and um, even though he didn't live his full life with me, I feel like he lived his best life with me, and I was just so grateful I could do that for him. And like I said, tensions really eased after the divorce, and like a lot of the alpha cat behavior let up. Um, and funny enough, when my now current husband moved in, that didn't change. Like they all still got along. I mean, as well as 11 cats can get along, because I had 11 at the time. And as well as 11 cats can get along. But no, even my vet was like, I don't know how you do it. Um, but it worked, and I'm just still forever grateful for it. Would I do it again? No. But I mean, would I would I recommend doing that to anybody? No. Was that easy? No. Would I go through it again just to have all of them in my life? Yes, I would. Um, and I was very fortunate, to have them in my life and be able to do that, and you know provide for all of them. So actually, I think at one point I had 13, but then there were a couple older cats that passed away. I had like a group of four. I was trying to think. So like Pepper, Betsy, Izumi, and Mia, which weirdly was all girl cats. The first four that passed away. Then when I went through my divorce, I had 11, and I kept that 11 until a little bit after I started this channel, which was 2016, I think. And then my oldest cat Felix passed away, and that kind of started the domino effect, because of course all these cats have been getting older and having various health issues and stuff like that. And so now we are at 5. We had went down to 4, and then BMO. Those kids showed up with BMO that one day, and now we have 5. And but yeah, if you've been around, you've definitely heard me talk about all of them over the years, and they're all special. But like I said, I love an opportunity where I see a picture that inspires me for one in particular. All right, so there is the marker layer. We're going to start with pencils. And I know I haven't done my Artisto video yet. However, I have plenty of pages. I just need to do the video. So we're going to start on the next pencil series that Tammy from Tammy Colors 2 and I are going to cover, which is the Castle Art like classic. So there's like a Castle Art Gold version, and then there's like Castle Art series, like the soft series or whatever. And I think this set's pretty old. It's 2019. I think now they actually have color names on them instead of just numbers. But I didn't. I think I have a backup set that might have those. But anyway, we're going to skip around a little bit. We've been going alphabetically, but I think due to some requests on Tammy's side, we're going to cover the Castle Art 120 kind of soft series next. So I've got to get some pages with those, so I figured this would be a good opportunity for that. There are 120 colors in this. I normally show the swatch chart when I'm doing this type of demo, but I need to redo my swatch. It's an old swatch chart, and it's not very helpful at picking out colors. I usually provide like first thoughts on these that are probably going to be further reinforced when I do the recap video, but excuse me. But I started working with these for this picture, and hopefully, so the Artisto one is coming. My plan is actually to work on getting that recorded for Wednesday. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I have all the pages. I have the books that I need to do the mini demos in. I just need to sit down and do the video, and it's just been a lot happening. Tammy already has her video up. So typically in our colored pencil series that we're kind of co-doing, we're going through our colored pencil collection, and she's doing a real big in-depth video, really focusing on how they blend, how they mix, if you mix different colors together, how they do on like black paper, white paper. She focuses a lot on coloring, like just coloring with the pencils, and really giving a thorough in-depth review of them. And then I usually follow up with kind of my perspective on them, and I look at it as more of a, I do color with them. I do color with pencils on my own, and I do show examples of that, but my primary use for colored pencils is over a base color, so a marker, a watercolor, something like that. I typically use them for shading, so I kind of have sometimes different feelings about the pencils because I'm looking for different things with pencils that are primarily shading instead of pencils that are carrying the whole picture. So I think it's been a fun series to do. It's just we both work full time, and we have a lot of other things going on, so we're just going along as best we can. I am pretty behind on my Artisto one, so I need to get that squared away. And apologize that the thing is shaking a little bit. I do show coloring in real time here, just to kind of show you how these lay down. I've been doing better about not using a lot of heavy pressure on the pencils lately, but I ended up going pretty hard with the pressure on these pencils, and I don't know if it's just the mood I'm in today. Like some days I'm just like, you know, I don't know if it was that or I was trying to get more color out of them. I think it was a little bit of both. I think I had to put a little more pressure to get a little more color. And it showed, and this is one of the big reasons I don't do pencil only pictures or pencil very often, is it really impacts my hand, my wrist, my right shoulder, pretty much everything from the right upper side of my back all the way down the tips of my fingers is cranky and easily pissed off if I do too much computer stuff, if I do too much colored pencil work. Heck, if I color too much with markers over the course of a few days, it will get mad and everything will hurt. I have tendonitis, I have carpal tunnel, just years and years of heavy computer use. This is what happens. Um, and so I have to be strategic about pencil use, and I have to opt for pencils that I don't have to put as much pressure with. So that's why you don't see me ever color with Crayolas. It's not that I don't like Crayolas. I just can't, for the color payout I want, I can't put enough pressure without it just completely causing my hand and wrist and stuff to ache after just a small amount of time. Now, one thing I did find with this picture is that this is the Amazon Basics were the very first ones I reviewed, and those did cause hand and wrist pain. These caused a little bit of hand and wrist pain. This is a relatively not a super complex picture. Took me 2 hours total with marker and pencil, which normally that could take me 3 or 4 hours. So because I didn't spend as much time on this, it actually shouldn't have impacted me as much. But my hand and my wrists and stuff are aching pretty good after finishing it all up. So I've not, since Amazon Basics have I had a problem with that. So that is one con I'll say to the soft series, like the classic Castle Art pencils, is that I felt like I had to put more pressure to get a color payout for the shading, and so thus I can't color in a session as long with these without them hurting my hands. And overall, what I tend to do is use those pencils less, and then I'll go to like Artix or Artisto. Those are a couple that I've reviewed that Arteza, all three of those I can use medium pressure on and get a pretty good color payout. So that is one thing I'll say to these. However, I will say as kind of a foreshadowing, I feel like they actually blend pretty well together when I'm doing 2 and 3 color pencil combos, and I really like the shading result I get on this page. I feel like it looks really nice. So I feel like they did well on Amazon paper, and also this is Amazon paper, so with it being toothier paper, sometimes you do have to put more pressure down. So I am going to be testing these in other types of paper as well. But I do feel like they look good. They do a good job. I just, first thoughts on them is just I can't use them as much as my other sets. So. And the other thing too is I feel like a lot of their pencil colors, now this was again 2019 set. I haven't shown you the full swatch yet, but I don't know if they've changed the palette. I don't know if they've changed the quality of the pencils. I don't know anything about that. This is just from my perspective about the pencil set I bought back then. But a lot of their colors are very close together, and it's hard for me to see shade differences. And so they may have a dark blue, but they have 2 or 3 dark blues that look very similar to each other, which I could see myself burning through these pencils quickly because of they don't use up at like an insane speed like a Prismacolor or something for me, but I mean I could see myself burning through these pencils pretty quickly. So it could be handy to have 2 or 3 very similar colors, but like in terms of then having color variety within that 120, you're probably getting closer to 100 set, or not quite 72, but like maybe 100 set or something of like unique colors. So that's something else I will say to that. But yeah, so I figured I'd go ahead and give my thoughts on that. You'll see me do this in slow time, and then the rest of the picture I will speed up. Boy, my arm looks rough. Um, my right arm is also the arm that Leroy I get into little squabbles with Leroy on, so he probably not unusual to see cat scratches or bites. Um, he's one of those that he never really learned to play as a kitten. I think he kind of had to be on his own, and so he wants to play, but he doesn't know how to play with people or other cats. And I think he plays really hard and has never learned to let up and play gently. And so he'll go from like 0 to 100 real quick if you're like trying to play with him, and then all of a sudden he's just like right on you, and it's like no, 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 too much, too much, back off. I'm gonna let you calm down. You just got overstimulated. Um. Anyway, so yeah, September kind of just went. It's funny. I think I did my completed pages and like, did I do any plans for September? I don't even think I had time to do one of those videos. And then next thing I know, it's like the last week of September, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, so much for coloring any fall, so much for space timber, so much for any Halloween coloring in September. That just kind of blew right by me. So that was why you didn't hear much from me in September, and I figured I'd talk a little bit about that today. It has been a hot minute since I color and chat. Let me go look here. Um, it's at least been a month and a half, so probably closer to 2 months at this point. Yeah, it was the the magician page in the Kawaii Tarot book by Lulu Mayo. So it has been. Yeah, I did do a little September planning. Ha! Well, we all know how that wound up. But no, just it's a lot of things, a lot of factors, I guess. And so the first one being, I would say that I had to go to Seattle in September for work. I hadn't had to go travel for work since January, and that massive mess that happened with like the snow slash ice storm that hit Nashville, and I was stuck in a hotel in Nashville for half the week, and then I was stuck in Seattle for half the week. Um, that I did not do well during that trip, and it took a long time for me to recover from that trip. And so, with things going on here, I ended up being able to attend some work related trips remotely in like May and July. But we found out in late August that my immediate manager, who was the one that hired me, she's been my manager for right at 2 years, was moving to another group within the company and taking on a different role. And I'm not surprised by it, and I might allude to that in a little bit, but it was still tough to hear. And so her last day was actually going to be the Thursday that we were in Seattle, and so I wanted to be able to go and like there's a lot of transitionings happening on my team. A lot of people are being shuffled around. There's restructuring still happening, and so I kind of wanted to go mostly just for an opportunity for like this core team that I've had for 2 years, like just one more chance to hang out with them before a bunch of more changes happen. And that was the primary reason I wanted to go. But it was and also to meet some the greater group that was on my team that we had restructured to back in March. So it has been a very rough year in terms of stability at at my job. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I ended up going. I figured, Winry had done so well when my brother and I went to Philadelphia in June. I was like, she should be all right. My family, health wise, had been doing well, and I felt like I could do this. And this time I splurged. I ended up paying out of pocket to upgrade to first class, which I had never tried to fly first class before. But the trip to Seattle is like 4.5 hours, and there's only like two flights coming from Nashville to Seattle, and they're 4.5 hours long. And it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I end up staying the night at my parents' the night before, so I can get back like an hour of sleep. Not that I was sleeping really well anyway, but I still have to get up at like 4 or 4:30 in the morning to be able to make it park and do all the things I need to do. And I was like, that's the worst part. And then being wedged in a row of three with people. And look, I am not a skinny mini. I am a little thick, a little thick. Um, got some junk in the trunk for sure. And they don't make airline seats very very friendly to that sort of body type. I think even skinnier people like struggle with how little space you actually get. And so unless you're flying with somebody next to you, like me, I end up spending the whole flight wedged up in the corner if it's a window seat, like trying desperately not to touch the knees of the person next to me because that would just be weird. Um, because I am just so much an introvert. Not that I'm like touching people's knees. I don't think extroverts like touching people's knees. That sounds so weird. I need to stop saying that. That sounds weird. Like I'm just like, leaning over and just boop with my finger like touching their knee or something. Um, but I'm desperately trying, and that's the thing that gets me. Like if you're a little more thicker around the middle, like we're well aware of this, right? Like most, nobody's going to come up to us and tell us this and us be shocked, right? And I know me as a bigger person, the last thing I want to do is inconvenience somebody else by having to take up extra space, particularly on a plane where they don't want anybody to have any extra room. So I will go out of my way to wedge myself and contort myself to try to make sure the person beside me has plenty of room. And then I will be extremely uncomfortable and in pain because of my various issues and ailments. And so the trip to Seattle is usually the worst. The trip back, oftentimes there's extra seats, so we can stretch out a little bit more. And at least the last couple times it's been. So I splurged for first seat, first class on the way there, which was great. Don't get me wrong. I was able to just fully have my space, still having to sit for 4.5 hours. Still is not the best thing on my joints and the best thing for me, but at least I could just take up my space and not have to worry about encroaching on someone else's. Um, the weird thing is, though, I got like motion sickness. And I guess it's because I was in such a drastically different part of the plane. I was in the very front row. And my guess is because I was in a different part of the plane and the movement feels differently. And like, I've never gotten motion sick on a plane before. It's only really been in a car or if I play like the first person point of view games where it's real sensitive and like a lot of times I have to change those settings because they make me sick, like literally sick to my stomach. If there's things moving in the game and this and that, like there's motion happening, it's because of my eyesight, and it's really annoying because it always wants to sneak up at the worst possible time. Um, and so about halfway through, I was sitting there watching Death Becomes Her because it had been a hot minute since I watched that movie, and I love that movie. And I just suddenly, all of a sudden, was like, oh my gosh, if I don't stop watching this right now and close my eyes and just sit here, I am going to, it's going to be a bad time for everybody. And so I had to just stop what I was doing and sit there. And it was the whole cold sweat, feeling like I'm just going to fall over, fighting it because I didn't have anything. I didn't bring any motion sickness type medication with me because it's never been a problem. Um, I had to fight it for a good 30 minutes. And I that set me off for about 2 days. Like, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But like, I got back over it. I ended up watching Wish by Disney, which was all right. I don't get why everybody threw such a fit. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's not the worst thing. It's about the level of everything that movie companies are putting out right now, which is like 20% quality and 80% junk. So, um all right, so I think we're sped up the rest of the video, and the lighting changed because I moved indoors. Um Good lord, my hand looks terrible. I'm sitting here looking at my hand like, does it really look that bad? Um, I darken the screen and you'll see it change a little bit here and there. I darken my screen a little bit because the light I use is so bright. It washes out the shading that I'm doing and it's harder to see it. So I will use my software to darken the lighting on the image so that the shading shows up a lot better. And you will see some shininess. These are wax-based pencils, and I'm using pretty heavy pressure, so you are going to see some shine from the paper happen here. So I'm just going to give you a heads up on that. Um, but so like, yeah, I did that. We got there, I landed, I got my Uber, and then in the Uber on the way to the hotel, I started feeling nauseous, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. Is this just still left over from the plane? Is something going on? Like, I had felt perfectly fine. So I got to the hotel room and I was like, let me try to eat something. I'd eaten something before I got on the plane, but I ended up masking up on the plane. If I pick up a sinus infection or get sick at all, usually it's right after I happen to be on the plane. So that seems to be the worst zone, the zone I have to be the most careful in to not pick up anything. But I had eaten and drank significantly before I got on the plane. But I ended up, I had an appointment to go to, it's called Neko Cat Cafe. They're pretty big on social media like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. And they have where you can go in and sit in the room with like the permanent residents and the adoptable cats and just hang out with them. And I thought it would be a lot of fun to do that. It was within walking distance of my hotel. And of course, when I got to the hotel, I was like, man, I don't feel my best, but we're going to go ahead and put on my mask and we're going to walk a little bit. I got a little bit of caffeine and stuff in me and I felt a little better. So I went and it was so much fun. I have pictures. So I have an Instagram that's also Kits and Caboodles that I posted pictures from my Seattle trip if you want to go see. If you don't have Instagram but you have Facebook, I also have a Kits and Caboodles page on Facebook. I mostly just cross post from Instagram just for people that maybe don't use Instagram. So they'll be on there as well. But I got to hang out with the cats there, which was a lot of fun. I particularly liked Elvira, who is actually their cat of the month for October. And she is a long-haired black cat that was such a little sweetheart. But that was fun. I also picked up, like, they had cookies, they had cake pops. I ended up getting like a strawberry lemonade, and I thought, well, let me just get back to the hotel and eat some pretty carb heavy stuff, right? And let me just see if I feel better. And I logged into work, I checked work, but it's a travel day, and I have so much issue recovering from, not sleeping well the night before. Most of the time I have to take a nap once I get to the hotel. Thankfully, they had a room for me to check in early. Mondays are typically just travel days for me, because by the time I get done with airports and everything, I've already done like my 7 or 8 hours. And I took a nap and I ate some of like the cake pop and like the cookie and stuff, and I felt monumentally better. So I ended up splurging on dinner at the Cheesecake Factory. Um, what is it I get? It's a chicken with like a mushroom sauce. It has mushrooms on it. It's got asparagus and potatoes. It's very good. I never get it unless I'm in Seattle, because the closest Cheesecake Factory is like on the other side of Nashville. And I love their Oreo chocolate cheesecake. And so, um, yeah, it was funny. Even though my stomach felt weird for a couple days, I still was able to eat. So, I don't know. Anyway, went into, we had like, so it was a big meeting for all the people. The org that my group went to in March was doing a big offsite where everybody under that particular org structure was meeting. And so we were doing 2 days of like team building exercises, meetings. Actually won a prize because I was part of the team that, it was an icebreaker where they wanted us to build the tallest tower we could with the supplies they gave us for each round. And it had to be freestanding. Well, actually, it was really funny. So they put us on a team, and we're supposed to be on a team with people we haven't worked with before. But the the campaign manager I worked with last year was on my team, but like we didn't tell anybody. But the funny thing is, we had to do it without talking to each other. And so I thought, this is kind of silly. I mean, this is all right, but as an icebreaker activity, like I thought the point of an icebreaker was to get to know people. So I thought that was kind of funny, but whatever. My team won the contest, though. I was very proud. Our first round, we ended up being rogue and taped our tower to the table, which they did not specify in the rules we couldn't do. So then after that, they said, yeah, no, you can't tape it to the table. And we're like, oh, look at us. Look at us being the rebels. But no, we won, and I actually got these macarons from a bakery there, and a thing of coffee that I have not tried yet, which I thought was pretty cool. I was pretty proud of our little team. But yeah, it was a couple days of stuff like that, and not a lot of actual work. I do email marketing basically, and build email campaigns. And we didn't do a ton of that. This was mostly just overall org stuff. And Tuesday I did all right. You know, I sat with my team, and I did all right. I still felt kind of lousy by the time the evening came around. I'm like, I just want to go back to the hotel. I don't really want to go to dinner. Which the team knows because of my health issues. The very first team offsite thing I went to, the whole first week, every night, we all went out to dinner, and then we went out for drinks. And so it's 2 hours behind my current time. So I would be getting back to the hotel room at like 10, 11 their time, which would be like 1 o'clock my normal time. I was so exhausted at the end of that week, but I had just started 2 weeks prior, and I was like, I can't be the sourpuss of the bunch. I can't be the old lady of the bunch, because I think I'm the oldest on the team, which really makes me feel some feelings, let me tell you. I don't want to be the old sourpuss on the team, but when never did that again. So ever since I go now, and with my medical accommodation, like the team knows that I have health issues. And so like generally what I try to do is go to 1 or 2 meals or events with them during the week, and then spend the rest of the time in the room recovering. And they like get it. I mean, and it is what it is. I am too I am too old to be trying to keep up with these 20-year-olds, and I got too many health issues to be doing that. I be in the bed, y'all. Like, we just ain't doing that. um but like then, so Tuesday I felt pretty okay, but like Wednesday I got up and I felt awful, and there were reasons why. But I I felt awful. And like about halfway through the day, I had to just opt out of the rest of the day and go back to the room and crash because I felt so lousy. And I hated that. But I was still having stomach issues. And so then Thursday, I felt fine when I woke up. It's like I finally caught it, finally was able to get past it. And it was kind of cool because we did a food tour down at the public market that they have by the water. And we tried like, I don't know, 7 to 10 different little bites from all these different food places there. And it was really interesting getting like the information on them, trying some different types of food and this and that. And I was so happy that I was able to do that with the team because, of course, that was like the main reason I went. And I had felt terrible that I had to keep opting out of the main stuff I wanted to do. Um, but then that night, me and my coworker, who um, I talked to probably more than the rest of them, we went back to the public market to look around a bit. We went to a bookstore with cats. And then we came back and ate at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which which I had never eaten before. It was pretty good. They had a I I had never tried a creme brulee that I liked, and when I tell you that that place, that is exceptional. That was like the biggest thing I remember. The steak was pretty good. I don't know. My husband does really good steak with our sous vide cooker and stuff, and they had a little more char on their steak, which I don't like, but it was like inside cooked to perfection. Like it was pretty good. I think I'm playing with the light here because I'm using black. So on the cat, usually when I do a black cat, I will use like a CG8 or a 7 on the base layer, and then I can come in with like a black and a near black colored pencil. But I noticed here it was kind of hard to see that because of the lighting and because the CG8 really was almost too dark. But when I lightened it, I finally figured out you could see the shading a little bit. So, um, but yeah, then Friday, I the only flight that leaves from Seattle to Nashville doesn't do it till like 5:30. They wanted me to stay till Friday because Thursday we did some like just our direct team meetings. I normally try to leave Thursdays, but um, I got up Friday and I did touristy stuff. I went to the Space Needle, the Cholula, I think is how you say it, Glass Garden that's next to that. Really enjoyed that. Felt great Friday. And did some touristy stuff, had fun with that, and then had no problems coming back. The row I was in was a completely empty row, so I was able to have a pretty comfortable trip back, though the lady in the row in front of me would not stop coughing. And so I was just like, ma'am, ma'am. Like, I moved a couple rows down and to the right because I was like, no, no, we're not doing this. I managed to make it through the whole week, you know, being okay. I am not going to get sick on the return trip. And other than the motion sickness thing, which again was very unusual. So overall, like, probably had the most fun in this trip because I got to do a bunch of touristy stuff I don't normally have time for. So it was probably the least amount of work I had to do at work off site. But with like the stomach issues at the end of the week, that wasn't a lot of fun. I am going to try first class again if I have to take another trip like that, but I am going to try to make sure that I take something prior to that. And so I got back Saturday morning. Like, I pulled up to the house around 3 a.m. Yeah, we land at midnight, and it's the last flight of the night because Nashville is not a 24-hour airport. Don't get me started on that. But I got home, and of course, I've been worrying about Winry all week, and she seemed fine when she saw me. I get up Saturday morning to feed them, and she's not eating. And my husband said she'd been eating all week, and I believe him. I believe that she probably sat there and acted like she was fine all week till I got home, and then she's like, oh, now I'm going to make you pay. And so she stopped eating and wouldn't eat Saturday morning. All day Saturday, she was acting real weak. Didn't want to jump up on stuff, just acting obviously unwell. And of course, that was the weekend that my vet, who's normally on call, was at a conference. And so they didn't have any on call services that weekend. And by Sunday, I was like, because she's like 18. She's 6.5 pounds. She doesn't have any weight to lose. It's like she's got a heart murmur. I was worried that had gotten worse because I'd been gone and she'd been stressed out. She's got kidney disease. Like I couldn't wait till Monday. And so Sunday I took her to the emergency vet at Nashville because that's the closest one. So I'd drive back, spend all day Sunday there, and ended up she had a UTI. And so they sent me back with some antibiotics. They gave her an anti-nausea shot. They said she should be eating tonight and in the morning. And if she's not, either bring her back here or check in with your vet. And so I was hopeful. But then the antibiotic they gave her, Clavamox, can make cats nauseous. And I just knew that she was going to still be nauseous and not want to eat. And she seemed a little better, like she drank at least more water Sunday night, but she didn't eat. And so Monday morning comes around and she's still not eating. And we had given her 2 doses of the antibiotic by that point. And so I talked to my vet, and they said, we're waiting on records. Once we get those, the vet will figure out what she wants to do next. Just keep an eye on her. I said she does seem like she's doing a little better. Actually, I take that back. Monday, she was eating just a tiny bit. And I was like, okay, she's eating a tiny bit. Maybe we can get through this with some Serenia, which is like an anti-nausea pill that I have. But by Monday night, Tuesday, she's back to the way she was before. And I was like, oh, no, this isn't going to work. And so they recommended that we hospitalize her, which y'all know how that made me feel. I was really upset that Tuesday. I just didn't know if she was going to pull out of this. They kept her at the vet for a couple days, giving her IV antibiotics, IV fluids, got her to eat there. She was eating cat chow dry, which is like junk food for cats, I know, but when they get to the age that when they eat like she does and she eats like a bird, even when she's healthy, I have to weigh her to make sure she's actually eating because it's so hard for me to actually catch her eating. At this point, she's allowed to eat whatever she wants as long as she's eating. So I picked up some cat chow for her when we brought her home Thursday. They were nice enough to send some Zofran, I think it's Zofran, in a syringe or in a bottle where we could do anti-nausea shots. With her antibiotics, she could have it twice a day, and that's exactly what I did. And after some initial hovering and leaving her alone, she did start to eat, and she ate really well, put her weight back on. She's pretty much back to where she normally is. They had a recheck on her yesterday. All of it's out of her system. She tested clean. She doesn't have a UTI anymore. The guess was she had a UTI before I left. Heck, it could have been brewing for a few months, and then me being gone, that stress level got kicked up and it just got kind of out of control. And which has happened with her before when I've been gone. So I guess the next time I travel, I'm going to have to figure out something with her. I don't know if we can do a preventative antibiotic. I don't know if we just check her before we go. I don't know, but I'm going to have to figure out some way to be able to travel and not worry about her like getting just crazy sick like this. So, but her heart murmur didn't change as far as I know, and her kidney values were still the same. So thankfully all that is okay. That week after I came back was just so hard because I was tired from the trip, but then I also just couldn't hardly eat or sleep because of her. And then come to find out So I said there was, further restructuring. Um, Originally, when my manager was moving to her new role, they were going to move us up under her manager because they are trying to eliminate levels of management. And don't get me started on that. I try very hard not to talk excessively about work for obvious reasons, but that is not, I have a lot of issues with that, and that is one of the reasons I think she went for a different role. Um, but there's a lot of weird decisions. But instead, they moved us under this other new manager in this new different group. And while we'll be working within my particular program, which is called training and certification, my company offers like training for tech people like developers and architects and stuff like that. And they also offer certifications under utilizing those services, so for like people that want to change careers or people that need them for their job, or their job uses those types of services. And I love that because I wanted to be a teacher and I love lifelong learning. So, like, the product itself, I really enjoyed, but it is fraught with issues because in my opinion, it's not the biggest priority for well, I mean, for obvious reasons, it's not the biggest priority, but it's not really prioritized. And so the software is fraught with issues that don't get fixed very quickly. Um, we have had to be very creative with workarounds for 2 years. And as much as I love the product, it's been very frustrating to not be able to make any progress, but excel as much as we did, but then have all this restructuring happening. It doesn't seem like it mattered how well we were doing. They're like, well, no, we're going to make you merge into how we're doing things everywhere else, which our group had better email performance than most of the other groups. So take from that what you will. But anyway, so we're going to move under this different group. For now, they're leaving the program as is, but the plan is eventually to integrate it with other types of marketing for those services. And the thing is, I don't think anybody really knows what that looks like. And so it's just been, I'm telling y'all, since my skip level left in January, it has been so much instability and just not knowing what's coming next. And so we were supposed to move under this manager, but we moved quicker under this other manager than we expected. So, and then I think both those managers went on PTO for like a week. And so, like, the past 2 or 3 weeks have just been kind of crazy because I can't make any progress on things because I don't have higher level people that are well versed in the situation that can step in, and I'm the low person on the totem pole and nobody wants to take me seriously. And it has just been it's really just been stressful. It's also been stressful not knowing exactly what my role is going to look like past 3 to 6 months from now. We don't even know what we're doing yet for next year, which we should already be building for next year, but because of all this change, nobody really knows yet. And so it all this I'm struggling with where I had to take a leave of absence last year. I'm struggling again with burnout. And it was right at the same time as last year. And ever since I've been back from Seattle, I've been having, actually in August too, I was having a really hard time. And it's been hard to want to color. It's been hard to want to do anything but just sleep and exist. And because of all this instability, I don't feel comfortable taking another leave of absence because I just didn't know what I was going to come back to. And so I've been trying to manage it as best I can, but it has been a challenge. And so I had made a decision because mostly because of all this, and because I wanted just a change of pace. Like I said, it feels like it's been like pulling teeth to get, certain things that I need for my role, current role, and I just kind of wanted a change of pace. And so I took the advice of a mentor and I started looking at other orgs within our broader organization. Well, there's two big organizations, and then there are smaller org structures and different groups within those. And so I was looking across both to see if I could find a similar role just in a different type of environment outside of the training and certification. And I found out Tuesday that I am officially moving to a different org group. We're still under, so it's like still under the big marketing org structure that I'm under because it's marketing. But it's with a different group than I'm in right now. They do like global level campaigns across the board, all kinds of services, not just training and certification. And they do like virtual programs. Like they do big conferences and big events each year that they do virtual attendance, like big virtual conferences. They do in-person conferences, like events and stuff like that, and global programs. So I had applied for this, and I actually interviewed the same week that Winry was at the hospital, at the vet. I was interviewing for that role, so that was like a really hard week. But we confirmed with my manager when she came back that I'm starting the new role on October 21st, and we have managed to get it worked out where my medical accommodation can move with me. And it should just, I know if you've done anything in regards to medical accommodations and at work, you're like, that should be obvious that it's going to move with you. But again, I can't go in depth of that, but there was some concern I would have to reapply, and it's just because of pressure that's being put on certain areas because my accommodation allows me a lot of different things that other people don't. I don't know how to explain this. It allows me to work remotely. And they are really trying to push return to office. So I did not want to have to reapply. This role is doing the exact same thing I'm doing now, except I'm just doing it for a different group. And obviously they have different processes, different types of emails, things like that. But it's a digital marketing manager role, just like I'm doing right now. It's the exact same type of role, same level. I really like the org I'm moving into. I've heard a lot of good things about them. They are a little bit closer to they have a little bit more visibility to the greater org because of the conferences and the events that they support. And so I feel like they'll probably they get more support than the current group I'm in, and they're also in a better position for planning for next year. It's not up in the air like ours is. So I need some stability somewhere in my life because it feels like everything's kind of what ifs right now, and I just couldn't handle 6 more months of what are we doing. I want to be able to be settled in something, and it's more, I do a little bit of like strategy and build work now. This is going to be more of just straight builds and reporting and analytics, but I'm okay with that. I kind of need that clarity of like job role responsibilities right now. It's just where I'm at in my life and in my career. It also has some different ways, different teams that I can move to if I ultimately decide I want to change. How their teams are set up is a different dynamic. And so yeah, I am changing roles within the company. So it's a new job, sort of. Same company though, because the pay and the benefits are really good. So I can't deny that for all the other issues that have come up. For this area, the pay and the benefits are very good. And the important thing was the medical accommodation. And so I am so relieved. I finally was able to talk about it this week because it's official. And while I hate to be leaving my team, this was one of the reasons I wanted to go that trip in Seattle, because I knew I was probably going to move to this other team if I interviewed well. And I kind of, like I said, just wanted a last chance to see everybody. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of movement happening within my particular group, just because you can't have people sitting there going, what's going to happen for 8 months, and then tell them that you still don't know after 8 months. And so it's not just me. There are people moving outside of the company, there are people moving within the company. I am just one in a string of people it's happening to, and I hate it because I don't want to leave my team with more work. And I like the new manager we moved under. This has nothing to do with that. It's just there's still no set plan in place, and I just can't. It's just not for me anymore. And like, I think she would be even better to work under, and like, I think, once things get hammered out, like, she would be supportive and helpful, but just it was too late. Like, by that point I had already been, by the time we found out about all that, I had already made that decision. Um so yeah, I, like I said, I've heard really good things about the team I'm moving to. They do travel only once or twice a year, and I'm actually going to miss the one they're doing this month in Seattle, because I won't be able to start till that week, so I can't book travel or anything. I'll have to just attend it remotely, which is fine with everything else going on at this point. I mean, it would have been nice to meet people face to face for that first week, but honestly, it'll be okay. I worked remotely in roles for well over a decade at this point. It is not a problem. So yeah, that was a big thing that I was kind of hoping to hear about this week that I could share with you. And I am hopeful. Obviously, I can't take a leave of absence right now, but I am hopeful that with the change and responsibilities in this role, the type of campaigns I'm doing, the process, I am hoping that this will be better for me across the board in the long run. Of course, any new role you move to, it's going to take some while to ramp up. I've got to get recertified in the software that we use, I think, in January. I've got definitely some stuff to do over the next few months to onboard with the team. But, like, overall, I think this will be significantly, a significant amount of stress is going to be gone in this role, and that is my hope. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I'm just hoping, I'm transitioning, my programs that I'm working on now. I'm hoping that as I onboard and this and that, like maybe having a new role, something fresh, something different, with some of the pros that I mentioned here, will help bust me out of this burnout mode. This is probably the most I've colored in a month, just this weekend alone. So I'm still struggling with it, but I think I'll be able to kind of bust out of it without having to take any significant time off. So, but yeah, no, just so much. It's just been, when I tell y'all, it's been like not a week has went by at work in the last 3 months without somebody moving, somebody leaving, a team shifting, responsibilities changing. Like, it has just been, it's just been an edge. It's been very, very stressful. And while I hate that we were already under resourced, while I hate that me moving to another role means that they have fewer people to spread the work through, I can't be that person anymore, taking on, like, you've got they need more help, and I just can't sit there and keep waiting for more help that just seems like it's never going to come. Like there just has to be a point where you got to decide what is best for you next, and that's just kind of what I had to do. I took we were under resourced and we took on more than we needed to for 2 years, and I did it and I put in my time, and I just realized if I keep doing that, I'm going to be doing that forever. And so um, I'm hoping with all this shifting and changing that really becomes evident that there is a problem there that needs to be addressed, and that they take and make that more of a priority, and then I hope things settle out. So but anyway, so there's that. Like I said, now you know. Now you know why it has been I've been so quiet. Um so yeah, I've also been spending more time at my parents', staying some weekends with them. Usually staying in one night overnight isn't too taxing on Winry. At least I didn't think it was. But we're going to have to find a compromise there because I want to spend more time with them. Particularly, that has been a pain point, is just not being able to get away and being so exhausted on the weekends that I can't go visit them because of all the work I've had to do during the week. And so, just in the last few months, I've been able to spend more time with them and stay the night a couple nights with them and stuff. And I've been really happy about that, and I want to continue having that option. Um, and I've also feel like I'm trying to, while I'm still really, I don't know, I'm just really tired. I had to go back to taking Ambien every night, the full dose. And I know that's part of it, is like a half dose is not enough, but a full dose is almost too much. And there's really no way I can cut it anymore, like prescription wise. And there's no way I can like cut the pill into 2/3. Um, so like I'm struggling with that because I feel like I need the extra sleep, but then I'm extra tired through the day. But some of that can be the burnout too, because that's what I did last year for like 6 weeks. I did nothing but sleep. And it made a huge difference when I came back. Like I was able to go a long time before I started feeling struggling again. But when Winry really wants me to come in the living room, and so she's getting her mice. When I stay in here and I'm talking for a long time, and she doesn't like me being here in the office, she wants me to either be outside, or in the living room, or in the bed. She really likes me being in the bed, where we take naps together and stuff. But I don't know. I thought I was doing so much better there for a while. For a couple months, like June through, I think it was the month of June, I really thought I was doing pretty well. July, I was kind of hanging in there. May, June, and July, I was kind of doing all right. And then, like, August hit, and I've just been struggling ever since. And I hate it because this is my favorite time of year, but it's like, it's almost my body's least favorite time of the year. So I don't understand. I don't know. Um, I had mentioned that another color along I'm doing this month is like a Halloween coloring countdown with Chris from Christopher's Corner. We're coloring out the book Simple Halloween by Alexander Franzese. He has been posting his every day. I have already gotten behind. I'll hopefully have 4 done today. I'm hoping I can post them on Instagram tomorrow and have the first 6 days all at once. But I'm trying. I'm hanging in there. Maybe, maybe I can last longer than half the month this year. Than coloring in something like that. So yeah, Chris, if you're watching this, I'm trying. I just gotta catch up. And we are just about done here. I was trying to think. Oh, a couple things I wanted to mention. One thing in particular I wanted to mention. There is this show. It is called From, R R F R O M, from, and it is on MGM Plus. I know it's another subscription service, but I think you can get the first seasons on Amazon, 2 seasons on Amazon Prime. I tried that show when I was in Seattle. When I tell you that was what I lived on in that hotel room. Okay, we'll take a quick break. We're done. Look at him. Isn't he handsome? I love it. I'm so glad I um, used Oreo as the inspiration because I feel like he just stands out so much more with the black and white combination there. The clouds are a little weird. I didn't quite mean to go so purpley pink with them. I meant them to be kind of a lighter color, but it still works. I think it's a super bright and colorful page, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to really be extra on a Joshua Dunbar page, which I haven't been able to do in a while. And so I was really glad that I was able to do that here. And, with the moon, I knew like I could do some highlights on like the leaves and his shoulders and stuff like that. But man, I just wasn't feeling that tonight. The only extra I wanted to be was adding pencil over the marker, which I think turned out really nice. If you saw, I highly recommend if you're going to do that, go with a lighter color than even you think you might need as a base layer. Because when I tell you, oftentimes the thing I don't ever regret going too light on a marker base, I regret going too dark. Because then if I can't find the right pencils to shade to have a darker shading on the top, and I don't like to use black for shading across the board because I don't like the look of that unless I absolutely have to use it, because if it's like a limited set or something and I just have to get kind of creative. But yeah, no, I never regretted going with a lighter base layer. Okay. Oh Lord, there goes my phone. Um, but I have regretted going it darker. Like, I think the CGA was okay for the black on the cat. You can really see the dark shading here, and so I think that was fine. But I probably should have went with a CG7 just to make it stand out a bit more. Though I'm okay with this. This actually turned out okay. But when I was first putting that down, I was a little worried about that. So there is that. And as I was talking about this show, this is a show that is not getting a lot of attention, probably because you can only get it on MGM and Amazon Prime. But if you like horror, I have to spell that. I have to really sound that out and make it sound weird because of my southern accent. Otherwise, it sounds like I'm saying something else. If you like, it's from the producers of Lost, and I didn't finish Lost for reasons, but it is gory. It's very mystery, thriller, spooky, scary type of thing. It starts with this family that comes across a tree on a road, so they have to go back and try to find an alternate route where they're out traveling in their RV camper thing. And they end up coming through this town, and like they drive through it, and then they act like they think they take the road straight, but then they start coming through the town again. And essentially, everybody ends up in this town. All these people end up in this town across the country, or across, I guess, the country, from the same situation. And they can't be out at night because there are monsters that hunt you out at night. And it is like, it is so weird, but it is so good. Y'all, I don't think I've really enjoyed a good spooky show like this since The Walking Dead. And I never even finished that. I think I only watched like up until Glenn, and then I think I stopped watching it. But like a good spooky kind of show, I think it's perfect for this month. The third season just started releasing. They're doing it on weekly. So what I would recommend, if you want to watch all 3 seasons and you don't have Amazon Prime, is wait till the third season finishes, which I don't know, might be November or December. It's like 10 episodes. It's not near enough. They don't make seasons like they used to. But what I would do is wait till the end of the third season and then like get a month subscription of it and like binge watch it. Um, I didn't want another subscription, but I splurged on this because I watched a couple episodes on Amazon Prime and I'm like, oh boy. And I did. I binge watched those first two seasons like the whole time I was gone and on the flight back and stuff. Like it is so good. And I tell you, I'm almost at the point concerned. Maybe I don't want to recommend this because it's almost the point where it's so good you just don't know where they're going with it. And you're like, are they going to be able to wrap this up? Like, I don't know if any answer to the mysteries here is going to satisfy me. Anyway, it is an extremely good show. I just sorry guys, my phone's going off. I don't think it gets enough attention just because it's not on like Netflix or Hulu or anything like that. And I normally wouldn't say just subscribe to something for just one show, but like I would say go on there, look and see because they have movies and stuff like that. Like, see what I like to do is I'll create a list for like Max or Hulu or Netflix or something, and then I'll subscribe to it for the couple months I need to make my way through all that, and then I'll cancel that and move to another one. Um, there's only two that we keep. Actually, I need to cancel one, but normally we only keep two, but we do have three. We have Paramount, but once the last Lower Deck season of Star Trek happens, I'm probably going to cancel that one. We have Hulu and we have Disney Plus. Those are the only two that we have. And Disney Plus, like, honestly, we could probably just do that off and on. But Hulu, right now, we're watching Bob's Burgers on that, which is very Simpsons esque in humor. And weirdly, just something I never watched when it first started. And I'd seen a bunch of memes about it on using the sounds, the voices from it. And I started watching that, and that's what me and my husband are working our way through. And right now, I just, other than my Spooky From show, I need something funny pretty much every night. I can't watch anything hardly serious right now, so we've been watching that. But really, seriously though, if you like spooky, if you like mystery, thriller, horror type shows, I do recommend it. I am quite enjoying it, and it's really hard to wait every week for the new episode. So, anyway, I did want to put my plug in for that because I already recommended it to my coworker, and I'm trying to tell anybody that I think might be interested. All right, well, I have talked enough for the night. This is going to go out kind of late on Saturday night just because I was late doing the voice for this, the voiceover, but I wanted to go ahead and get it out because I don't know if I want to be on the computer tomorrow or if I'm going to play computer games or what, or if I'm just going to sleep the whole day. Who knows? Who knows with me lately? But not doing great, but I'm not doing terrible. Just kind of hanging in there, hoping things improve substantially, maybe over the next month or two. And yeah, I hope everybody else is doing well. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.